Hello everyone, welcome to our channel and this session on project management fundamentals. If you are preparing for the PMP exam, starting a career in project management, or just looking to strengthen your understanding, you are in the right place. In this video, we are going to break down all the core ideas behind project management in a simple, clear, and engaging way, which we will be discussing in detail in the upcoming videos. So, what exactly is project management and why does it matter so much? In this section, we are going to zoom out and get a bird's eye view of what project management is all about. We will set the stage for everything else you will learn by building a strong foundation first. Because just like in construction, if the foundation isn't solid, the whole structure is at risk. Let's start by defining what we mean by a project. A project is a temporary effort created to produce something unique. It could be a product, a service, or even just a result. What makes it different from operations? Projects have a clear start and finish. They aren't ongoing routine work. They exist for a specific goal and then they wrap up. Understanding that temporary nature is key to managing projects as well. Since projects are temporary, the teams working on them are usually temporary too. Once the goal is reached, everyone may move on to the next assignment. But what about the things we create? Are those temporary too? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. A software application may live on for years, but the team that built it might dissolve after the launch. Now, why do we even bother doing these projects? Because they bring value to the business. Let's see how. Every project needs to tie back to the organization's goals. It's not just about building something cool, it's about delivering value. Understanding how a project adds business value helps us decide which projects to pursue and how to prioritize them. To bring all this together, we use project management. So let's define that. Project management is the art and science of applying skills, knowledge, tools, and techniques to get the job done on time, on budget, and up to standards. It's used everywhere, from launching a mobile app to building a skyscraper. No matter the industry, good project management is what drives results. Now that we know what a project is and how it is managed, let's explore the project journey, starting with the life cycles. Now, there is a subtle but important difference here. The project life cycle focuses on the work itself, what gets done. The project management life cycle is all about how we plan, organize, and control that work. Think of it as managing the journey versus the journey itself. Speaking of journeys, projects follow a structure of phases we call process groups. Project management is divided into five process groups, that is, initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. Each of these groups represents a stage in the journey of your project. These aren't always sequential, they can overlap and repeat depending on how your project evolves. Within each group, there are specific areas of expertise we need to apply. Let's look at those next. Now, within those process groups, we have 10 knowledge areas: integration, scope, schedule, cost, quality, resources, communication, risk, procurement, and stakeholder management. These areas cover everything a project manager needs to know and handle. They are the framework of the Pingbock guide and essential for the PMP exam. But not every project uses the exact same approach. That's where tailoring and agile methods comes in. No two projects are exactly alike. That's why we tailor the approach to fit the project's needs. In agile or adaptive environments like Scrum, Lean, or XP, we embrace flexibility. These methods are great for projects where change is expected and customer feedback is frequent. And speaking of planning, some core documents really help guide a project. Let's talk about those. There are two key documents every PM should know: the business case and the benefits management plan. The business case tells us why the project is worth doing. The benefits management plan explains how the project's success will be measured and what value it's expected to deliver. Now let's zoom out and look at the environment in which your project exists. A project doesn't exist in a vacuum. It lives in an environment that influences how it's run. This environment includes the organization's structure, market conditions, legal constraints, and much more. Understanding this context is vital to managing effectively. We can break this down further into two major factors: things you can't control and things you can. Enterprise environmental factors are the elements that surround and influence your project but are outside your direct control. Things like the organization's culture, industry standards, political climate, and market trends. As a PM, you need to understand how these affect your project, even if you can't change them. Now, let's talk about the helpful stuff you can use: organizational process assets. Now, OPAs are the opposite. They are the internal tools and resources you can use. Think templates, historical data, checklists, and lessons learned from previous projects. These can save you tons of time and help you avoid past mistakes. These assets usually come bundled with company policies and procedures. So let's understand those next. Every organization has its own set of rules, policies, processes, and procedures. Policies are the high level rules, processes describe how things are done, and procedures are step by step guides. Together, these help create consistency and clarity for project execution. But how these are applied and often depends on how your organization is structured. Your organization's structure impacts your authority as a PM. In a functional structure, you may have little power. In a projectized structure, you have full control. Matrix structures fall somewhere in between where the power is shared. Knowing where you stand helps set expectations. Regardless of structure, your role as a project manager remains crucial. A project manager is more than just a taskmaster. You are a leader, a communicator, a problem solver. You need technical know how, business understanding, and strong leadership skills. You are the one keeping the ship on course even when the waters get rough. But navigating people means navigating politics too. Let's touch on that. Let's talk about something real: office politics. Like it or not, they exist. As a project manager, your ability to navigate politics and use your influence ethically can make or break a project. It's all about building relationships and getting things done through people. This brings us to the balance between being a leader and a manager. Here's the difference: management is about planning, organizing, and controlling, whereas leadership is about inspiring, guiding, and influencing. Great project managers do both. They keep the plan on track while motivating the team to deliver their best. Projects don't last forever. They have a clear start and a clear end. But just because they are temporary doesn't mean they are short. Some projects take years, like constructing a bridge or developing a new smartphone. What matters is that a project isn't an ongoing task. It's designed to reach a goal and then wrap up. If something just keeps going with no end in sight, you might be dealing with operations, not a project. So, how do we actually know when a project is done? Let's look at that next. When we begin a project, we define what done looks like. That's part of the project charter. It could be a list of tasks completed, results achieved, or specific outcomes delivered. For example, if you are organizing a product launch event, your project ends the moment the event wraps up and the results are reported. No more events equal to no more project. But just reaching the goal isn't the only reason a project might wrap up. A project ends when its goal is met, but that's not the only reason. Maybe there's a strict deadline, like launching a new app version before the holiday season. Miss the deadline? The launch becomes pointless. Or maybe you run out of budget. Sometimes projects even end because they are no longer needed, like working on version 1.0 of software when version 2.0 suddenly becomes a new priority. And sometimes things outside your control can force a project to stop. Let's say your project depends on a rare material and suddenly it's no longer available. Boom, the project can't continue. Or maybe a key expert on your team leaves the company. Legal reasons can also kill a project, like new regulations making your current plan invalid. And hey, sometimes the company just decides we are done with this, let's move on. It's all part of project life. So, if a project can end in so many ways, what are they actually meant to do? Simple: drive change. Every project is about change. You are moving from where you are now to where you want to be. Think about upgrading your company's email system. You are changing the way people work. Projects might move something, add something, change something, or remove something. A helpful way to remember this is MACD: move, add, change, delete. But change doesn't always happen all at once. Sometimes there's a middle stage. Projects don't always switch things instantly. Sometimes there's a transition phase. For example, if your office switches from Office 2016 to Office 365, you might have some departments using the old version while others are on the new one. This is in between time needs planning. It can involve dual support systems, staff training, and even risk management. So now we know what a project does. But why do organizations start them in the first place? It all comes down to something called business value. Whether it's making money, saving money, improving efficiency, or increasing customer satisfaction, the goal is always to bring some kind of benefit. Even doing a project to meet legal rules like GDPR compliance adds value because you are avoiding fines or legal trouble. And this value come in different forms. Let's break down that down next. Business value come in two types. Tangible is stuff you can see or measure, like more revenue, new equipment, or cost savings. Intangible value is harder to measure, but is still super important. Things like a stronger brand, better public image, or community goodwill. Both matter when deciding to greenlight a project. So, what actually kicks off a project? Let's talk about what triggers them. Projects usually kick off for one of the four reasons. A legal, social, or environmental rule requires it. A stakeholder or client requests it. There's a new technology that you want to implement. You want to improve or fix a current product, service, or process. For example, let's say your HR department wants to automate leave requests. That's a stakeholder request triggering a project. Or you might switch to solar panels on your building due to environmental laws. That's a legal trigger. Once a project starts, someone has to manage the whole thing. Enter the project manager. Okay, now that we know what a project is, who is in charge of making it all happen? That's where project management comes in. A project manager handles everything from kickoff to close. They are like the conductor of an orchestra, making sure every part, people, budget, deadlines, stays in sync to reach the goal. But what does that actually look like in practice? So let's get specific. If you are a project manager, your job is to understand the big picture, get the right people involved, handle the logistics, manage risks, and make sure the outcome matches what was promised. Think of building a new cafe. You coordinate with contractors, get permits, plan timelines, and stay within budget, all while keeping the cafe owner in the loop. And no, you don't need to use every PM process every time. There are 49 recognized project management processes. But don't worry, you don't use them all every time. If your project doesn't involve buying anything, you skip procurement. If it is a simple upgrade, you might skip detailed risk analysis. Project management is about picking the right tools for the job. So, what makes someone actually good at managing a project? A strong project manager gathers detailed requirements, manages communications, balances budget, time, and scope, keeps stakeholders happy, solves problems fast, and adapts to change quickly. Communication and stakeholder management alone can make or break a project. Speaking of adapting, sometimes you only get clarity as you go. So that's called progressive elaboration. This just means starting broad and getting more specific as you go. Imagine someone says, "Build me a house." At first, you guess the cost, but as they give more info, tile floors, marble countertops, smart appliances, you refine the estimate. That's progressive elaboration in action. Now let's wrap up by looking at project life cycles versus project management life cycles. Here's a quick difference. The project management life cycle always has the same phases: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and closing. But the project life cycle depends on the type of project. A construction project might have phases like design, foundation, framing, plumbing, etc. An IT project might have coding, testing, deployment. Each industry builds its own phase list, and each of those phases usually ends with a milestone or deliverable. Each phase in a project leads to a specific result. We call that a deliverable. For example, once the walls are framed in a building, that phase ends and creates a milestone of framing complete. These milestones help track progress and keep everything moving forward. Now let us look at what are projects, programs, and portfolios. Now we have already seen what is a project, but let's go through it one more time. A project is essentially a temporary endeavor with a specific goal. It's something you do that has a definite start and end, and is designed to create a unique product, service, or result. Now, a project can be big or small. Imagine you are organizing a community festival. That's a project. You have a start date, a festival date, that's the end date, and you are aiming to create a fun event for everyone. You have got different aspects to manage: booking bands, getting permits, setting up stalls, and marketing. Or to take another example, developing a new mobile app is a project. There's a start when you begin planning, an end when it launches, and the unique result is the app itself. It involves design, coding, testing, and marketing. So remember key things about a project. It's a temporary and it has a specific outcome. Now, while that community festival or app development is a project, sometimes things get a bit more complex. Then that's where programs come in. Let's explore that. So, we have talked about projects. Now, what's a program? Well, a program is like an umbrella that covers several related projects. It's a way of managing a group of projects together to achieve benefits that you could not get if you managed them separately. Think of it like this. A university's initiative to upgrade its entire IT infrastructure is a program. It might include projects like upgrading the student registration form, implementing a new learning management system, improving the campus Wi Fi network. Each of these is a project with its own goals and timeline, but they are all related and contribute to the bigger goal of a better IT infrastructure. The program manager coordinates these projects to ensure they work together smoothly, share resources, and achieve the overall strategic benefits. Or to use another example, a company's expansion into a new market could be a program. It might involve projects like opening a new office, launching a marketing campaign, developing a new products tailored to that market. The program manager makes sure these projects are aligned and support the overall expansion strategy. The key idea here is coordination. Program management is about orchestrating multiple projects to maximize benefits. So, programs are a collection of related projects. But where do programs and individual projects fit into the bigger picture of an organization? That's where portfolios come in. So, let's dive in. Alright, so we have covered projects and programs. Now let's zoom out and look at the highest level, the portfolio. A portfolio is like a collection of all the investments an organization is making. This includes projects, programs, and sometimes even ongoing operations. It's essentially a snapshot of everything the organization is putting its resources into. Think of it like your own investment portfolio. You might have stocks, bonds, and real estate, different investments with different goals. An organization's portfolio is similar, except the investments are things like projects to develop new products, programs to expand into new markets, or even investments in improving existing operations. For example, a tech company's portfolio might include a program to develop a new line of smartphones, a project to update its website, ongoing investments in its customer support operations. Or consider a government example: a program to improve public transportation, projects to build new roads, ongoing funding for education. Portfolio management is about making strategic decisions about which projects and programs to invest in to achieve the organization's overall goals. So, portfolio management is a big responsibility. What are some of the key things portfolio managers consider? Let's take a look. Here are some key considerations. Scope. What will the portfolio deliver for the organization? This is about aligning investments with the organization's strategic goals and ensuring they provide business value. Change. How will these investments bring about change and move the organization from its current state to a desired future state? Planning. How will the work be planned and executed efficiently and effectively? This involves choosing the right approaches and methodologies. Management. How will the projects and programs within the portfolio be managed? This includes ensuring they have the necessary resources and support. Success factors. How will success be measured? What are the key performance indicators that will determine if the investments are delivering the expected benefits? Monitoring. How will the portfolio's performance be monitored, especially risks that could threaten its success? Ultimately, portfolio management is about maximizing the return on investment for the organization. It's about making smart choices about where to allocate resources to achieve the greatest value. To visualize this, let's look at how projects, programs, and portfolios relate to each other. This slide helps visualize the relationships we have been discussing. At the center, we have the portfolio, the overall collection of investments. Within the portfolio, we have programs, which are groups of related projects. And then within programs, we have the individual projects themselves. It's also possible for a portfolio to contain individual projects that aren't part of a program. So it's not always a neat hierarchy of portfolio, programs, projects. It can be a bit more flexible. The key takeaway is that portfolios provide the overarching structure, programs coordinate related efforts, and projects deliver specific outcomes. Now let's talk about how organizations manage these projects and programs. One important structure is the Project Management Office or PMO. Many organizations use the Project Management Office or PMO. Think of it as a central hub for project management within the organization. A PMO's role is to standardize and coordinate project management practices. It's there to support project managers and ensure projects are delivered consistently and efficiently. For example, a PMO might provide templates and tools for project planning and reporting, offer training and mentoring to project managers, manage shared resources across projects, monitor project performance, and ensure compliance with organizational standards. A PMO helps to create a consistent approach to project management, which can improve communication, reduce risks, and increase the likelihood of project success. There are different types of PMOs. Let's explore those. Generally, there are three main types of PMOs. Supportive PMO. This type of PMO provides support to project managers in the form of templates, best practices, training, and access to information. It has a consultative role. Controlling PMO not only provides support but also requires compliance with certain project management methodologies, templates, or forms. It monitors and ensures adherence to standards. In directive PMO, the PMO has a high degree of control over projects. It may even manage the projects directly, with project managers reporting to the PMO. The type of PMO an organization has can significantly impact how projects are managed. Now let's take a step back and clarify the difference between projects and operations, as this is a fundamental concept in project management. It's crucial to understand the difference between projects and operations. They are related, but they are not the same. Projects are temporary endeavors with a definite start and end, focused on creating a unique product, service, or result. Think of developing a new product, building a bridge, or organizing an event. Operations are ongoing, repetitive activities that sustain the organization. Think of manufacturing products, providing customer service, or processing payroll. Here's a quick comparison. Both use resources, people, money, etc. Both involve planning, execution, and management. But projects are temporary while operations are ongoing. Projects drive change while operations maintain the status quo. Understanding this distinction is vital for effective project management. Organizations often strive for consistency in how they manage projects. This leads us to the concept of organizational project management. Many organizations aim for a standardized approach to project management. This is where organizational project management comes in. OPM is a framework that aligns project management with the organization's overall strategy. It's about ensuring that projects and programs are managed in a consistent way using common processes, tools, and techniques. The goal of OPM is to improve project outcomes, increase efficiency, and deliver greater business value. It helps to avoid the chaos of different teams using completely different approaches. Let's look at some key aspects of OPM. OPM starts with aligning projects with the organization's strategic goals and tactics. It's about asking why are we doing this project and how does it contribute to our overall objectives. OPM involves making informed decisions about which projects to invest in based on their potential to deliver business value. This is closely related to portfolio management. OPM focuses on ensuring projects are executed effectively and efficiently, delivering the desired outcomes. OPM also emphasizes measuring and realizing the business value created by projects. This is about assessing the return on investment and the impact on the organization. OPM is a holistic approach to project management that links projects to the organization's strategic objectives. To understand how projects fit into the bigger picture, let's look at the relationship between projects and strategic planning. Projects play a crucial role in strategic planning. In most organizations, you have different levels. Executives, they focus on the why. Why are we doing this project? How does it support our vision, mission, and goals? Then comes the functional management. They focus on the what. What needs to be done to achieve the strategic objectives? What are the project's deliverables and scope? Then the next comes the operations. They focus on the how. How will the project be implemented and executed? How will we get the work done? Projects connect these levels. The why comes from the top, the what is defined in the middle, and how is executed by operations. Finally, let's consider the broader context of organizations and how project management fits in. Here are some important considerations about organizations and project management. Project-based organizations. Some organizations like construction companies or IT consulting firms are entirely based on doing projects for clients. Project management is crucial for their success. Project management and organizational governance. Projects must align with the organization's governance framework, which includes rules, policies, and procedures. Projects must support the organization's overall strategy. You would not launch a project that goes against the company's core business. The organization's culture can significantly impact how projects are managed. Factors like communication styles, decision making processes, and values all play a role. Understanding these organizational factors is essential for effective project management. Let's now turn our attention to the project environment, which plays a significant role in project success. The project environment encompasses all the internal and external factors that can influence a project. It's important to understand this environment because it can significantly impact how you plan and execute your project. The project environment includes physical location. Where is the project being carried out? This can affect logistics, resources availability, and even the weather conditions you need to consider. Then comes the working conditions. What are the conditions in which the project team will be working? This includes things like safety regulations, security requirements, and access to facilities. What are the constraints, the limitations or restrictions are placed on the project? This could include things like budget limits, time constraints, or regulatory requirements. Understanding these elements of the project environment is crucial for effective project management. Let's delve deeper into the different types of environmental factors. The project environment can be further broken down into several types of factors. Physical environmental elements are the tangible physical aspects of the environment, such as weather, geographical location, and availability of resources. Social and culture influences are the intangible aspects of the environment, such as political climate, cultural norms, ethical considerations, and perceptions. These factors can have a significant impact on how a project is managed. For example, a project in a country with a different cultural background may require a different communication style or approach to decision making. Another crucial aspect of project environment is the organizational culture and structure. The organizational culture and structure play a significant role in how projects are managed. Organizational culture refers to the shared values, beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors of the people within an organization. It can influence things like communication styles, decision making processes, and the level of collaboration within a project team. Organizational structure refers to the formal hierarchy and reporting relationships within an organization. It can affect how authority is distributed, how decisions are made, and how resources are allocated to projects. Understanding the organizational culture and structure is crucial for project managers to effectively navigate the organization and ensure project success. Let's consider the concept of infrastructure as an environmental factor. Infrastructure is another important environmental factor. It refers to the facilities, equipment, and resources available to the project team. This includes the facilities, which are the physical spaces where the project team works, such as offices, meeting rooms, or construction sites. Then comes the equipment like the tools, machinery, and technology used by the project team. The communication channels are the system and methods used for communication, such as email, phone, or project management software. And the last one is the computer hardware and software used by the project team. The quality and availability of infrastructure can significantly impact project efficiency and effectiveness. Now let's talk about three new terms that you will encounter throughout your project management journey. Understanding these distinctions is key as they pop up in pretty much every area of project work. I am talking about work performance data, work performance information, and work performance reports. We will see these three terms showing up as inputs and outputs across all the different knowledge areas of project management. So let's get a solid handle on what each of these means right now, so we don't have to keep revisiting them in detail later on. First up, we have work performance data. Think of this as the pure, unadulterated facts about the project work as it happens. It's the raw data you collect as things are being done. This data on its own isn't particularly insightful, it's just the numbers and details. For example, imagine you are building a website. Work performance data could be task X is 75% complete. We have 5 more pages to design. The database setup is currently underway. Or the initial design was supposed to start last Monday but actually started on Wednesday. It also includes things like how much we have spent on coding so far, the 3 change requests we have received for new features, the 2 bugs found in the user interface, and the original estimated time for content creation versus how long it's actually taking. As a project manager, you gather this kind of raw data through your regular team meetings, progress updates, and the systems you have in place to track work. This raw data is the foundation. You need to create something more meaningful. Building on that, we have work performance information. This is where we take that raw work performance data and give it some brain power. We analyze it, we study it, and we look for patterns and meaning. So the data transforms into something we can actually use to make decisions. It becomes informative. Going back to our website example, instead of just saying task X is 75% complete, that's data, the information might be task X is 75% complete, which is slightly behind schedule due to unexpected complexities in the design. Or we have received 3 change requests and analyzing them shows that 2 of them are related to the core user flow and will impact the overall timeline. Now this information is actionable. We can see where we stand, understand the implications, and decide what steps to take. It's the crucial link between just having the numbers and actually doing something with them. Alright, so we have got the raw facts, that is data, and we have analyzed them to gain insights, which is information. Now, how do we share these insights with others? That's where work performance reports come in. A work performance report is essentially a way to package up that analyzed information in a format that's easy to understand and communicate to your stakeholders. Think of it as putting a compelling story around the data and information. The most common example is a status report, which gives a snapshot of where the project stands. But it could also be a quick memo highlighting a critical issue, a dynamic project dashboard showing key metrics visually, or your regular weekly project updates. An exception report explaining a significant deviation from the plan, a variance report detailing differences between planned and actual performance, or even a risk report outlining potential threats and their impact. It's all about taking that valuable information and presenting it clearly and concisely to the people who need to know. So, data comes first, it's the raw material. Then comes information. You need to process the data to understand it and act upon it. And finally, you have reports. Once you have that information, you need to communicate it effectively. So, data, information, reports, DIR. Keep that in mind. Okay, great. Now that we have good understanding of work performance data, information and reports, let's shift gears and talk about something else that's really important in project management: tailoring the project management processes. You already know that not every project is the same, and therefore you don't have to apply every single project management process from the book to every single project. But it goes beyond just selecting which processes to use. We also need to think about the depth to which we utilize the chosen processes. And even further, we can adapt or tailor these processes to specifically fit the unique characteristics of the project, our organization, or what's most critical for our specific endeavor. So let's delve into the key aspects of tailoring. When it comes to tailoring, there are four key facts we need to keep in mind. First, which processes are we actually going to use on this particular project? We know we don't have to use them all, so we need to make a conscious decision about what's relevant. Second, to what depth will we implement those chosen processes? For example, if we decide we need to manage quality, what exactly does that look like for this project? How rigorous will our quality checks be? If it's a high stakes, complex project, we will likely go much deeper with our risk analysis, sorry, perhaps using both qualitative and quantitative techniques extensively. However, for a smaller, less critical project, a more high level approach might suffice. The priority and nature of the project heavily influence this. Third, and as we have already touched upon, not every process is needed on every single project. This is a fundamental principle of tailoring. And finally, the fourth point is that typically the larger the and more complex the project, the more processes you are likely to need to manage it effectively. Now, it's important to know that the idea of tailoring isn't just one time decision. Throughout the project management body of knowledge guide, you will see this concept of tailoring processes emphasized in various knowledge area chapters from integration management all the way to stakeholder management. So, first, each knowledge area presents opportunities for tailoring. Second, the individual processes that live within these knowledge areas are what you will actually be adapting. Third, remember that the project itself, its size, priority, complexity, and specific characteristics should drive your tailoring decisions. It will dictate which processes are necessary and to what extent you need to apply them. And fourth, just be aware that as we explore different chapters in the PMBOK guide, you will see reminders and considerations for tailoring specific processes. Don't let this throw you. It's a recurring theme because it's so important. Every knowledge area and every process offers the potential to be adapted to your unique project. We have talked about tailoring processes. Now let's connect this to the concept of project life cycles and the project management life cycle. You might recall that the project management life cycle is the high level framework of how we manage a project from start to finish. That is initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. Now, there's often an overlap in how the actual work of the project is planned and how it's ultimately delivered. And the PMBOK guide addresses different approaches to this, specifically what are known as predictive and adaptive life cycles. As we go through the PMBOK guide, you will see sections highlighting considerations for an adaptive environment. So let's nail down the key differences between these two. First up is the predictive life cycle. Think of this as a more traditional plan driven approach. It's common in environments like construction, where you typically need a pretty clear understanding of the scope and requirements upfront before you can really get started. You have a good idea of the final outcome from the beginning. Predictive life cycles are also often referred to as the waterfall approach. Imagine a waterfall. You start at a high level with your initial plan, and then you move sequentially through distinct phases: requirements gathering, design, implementation, testing, and deployment. Each phase is largely completed before the next one begins, like water flowing down a series of steps. This approach aims to predict the project life cycle in detail right from the outset, identifying the phases that will take you from the initial concept all the way to project closure. In a predictive life cycle, changes to the scope are generally tightly controlled. There's a tendency to be somewhat change averse because significant changes can disrupt the carefully laid out plan. That's not to say changes never happen, but the focus is on capturing all the requirements upfront as much as possible. Now let's contrast this with the iterative and incremental life cycles. These approaches involve working in repeated cycles or iterations. In both iterative and incremental approaches, the project goes through phases that are repeated over and over in cycles called iterations. Each iteration aims to produce a deliverable. The detailed scope is often defined for each iteration as it begins, and changes to the project are generally expected and more easily accommodated. Now, what's the difference between iterative and incremental? They are similar but have a key distinction. Iterative simply means you go through these repeated cycles to refine and build towards the final product. Incremental, on the other hand, means you deliver working pieces of the final product in increments. Think of building a software application. With an incremental approach, you might deliver a version with basic login functionality first. Then, in the next increment, you add user profiles and then perhaps messaging capabilities in the following increment. So, you are providing value in stages. An adaptive life cycle, which we'll talk about next, can actually be both iterative and incremental. Finally, we have adaptive life cycle. You are probably familiar with this if you have worked with methodologies like Scrum, Extreme Programming, Lean, or generally under the umbrella of Agile. This image here is a Kanban board, a common tool in adaptive environments. It visually shows the flow of work from the backlog of tasks, often called as user stories in Agile, what's currently being worked on, what's in testing, and what's finished. Adaptive environments are change driven. Unlike predictive life cycles, you don't necessarily know all the requirements upfront. Instead, you work in short cycles and you are prepared to adapt to changing needs and priorities. Generally, in an adaptive approach, you have product backlog, which is a prioritized list of all the desired features or requirements. A product owner typically prioritizes this backlog in collaboration with the team. Then the team will take a set of the highest priority items and commit to delivering them within a short time frame, often called a sprint or iteration, which is from 2 to 4 weeks. During this sprint, the focus is on completing those specific items, and changes to the scope within that sprint are usually avoided. Once the sprint is complete, the team reviews the work, often holds a retrospective to learn and improve, and then goes back to the product backlog. The product owner can then reorder the backlog or add new items based on feedback and evolving needs. This cycle of taking requirements, doing the work, and then reassessing and reprioritizing continuously throughout the project. So, adaptive life cycles are characterized by rapid iterations, a backlog of requirements, and a welcoming attitude towards change because it's understood that not everything can be defined at the beginning. So, to recap, we have predictive life cycles which are plan driven, and adaptive life cycles which are change driven. And within the adaptive realm, we have variations like iterative, which are repeated cycles, and incremental, which are delivering in stages. Understanding these different approaches is crucial. All right, so we have covered project life cycles. So now let's move on to another important concept which you will encounter, that is business documents. Throughout the PMP guide, you will see the term business documents, which come as inputs to various processes, and sometimes you will need to update them. But what actually are these business documents and why are they important for your project? Essentially, business documents are documents that provide crucial information about the project's justification and how it aligns with the organization's strategic goals. We are talking about key documents like the project business case, which outlines the reasons for undertaking the project and its potential benefits, the project charter, which formally authorizes the project, the overarching project management plan, which guides how the project will be executed and controlled, and the benefits management plan, which details how the project's benefit will be realized and sustained. These business documents are interconnected and are used throughout the project lifecycle. Now let's discuss how business documents tie into project performance. A key concept here is the phase gate. A phase gate, also known as a stage gate or kill point, is a formal review at the end of a project phase. It's a checkpoint where we evaluate if the phase has been completed successfully and if we should proceed to the next phase. Business documents are critical at these gates. For example, we review if the phase delivered what was promised in the business case, if it is on budget, and if it is on schedule. Based on the review of these documents, several decisions can be made at a phase gate. We might decide to continue as planned, modify the project scope or budget, or even terminate the project if the performance is significantly off track. We might also decide that the phase needs more work and the project remains in the current phase, or the phase needs to be repeated. One of the most important business documents is the business case. It's a document that answers the fundamental question: why are we doing this project? The business case provides an economic feasibility study determining if the project is a worthwhile investment. It assesses the project's validity, its potential to deliver business value, and helps in making informed project management decisions. The business case is maintained throughout the project life cycle and is the responsibility of the project sponsor. Before a project is launched, the business case articulates the business's need or problem that the project will address. It defines the stakeholders, defines the project scope at a high level, and explains why the project aligns with the organization's strategy. A strong business case will typically include these elements. This includes the root cause of the problem, the opportunity the project will seize, any gap analysis, known risks, critical success factors, and the criteria for deciding whether to proceed with the project. The business case often analyzes the project situation and categorizes project elements. Recommendations are often categorized as required, desired, and optional, helping stakeholders prioritize and make informed decisions. Finally, the business case may offer recommendations. These recommendations might range from not pursuing the project at all to doing the bare minimum or going all in. Another key document is the benefits management plan. While the business case justifies the project, this plan details how the project's benefits will be created, maximized, and sustained. This plan addresses crucial questions. It's all about ensuring the project delivers lasting value to the organization. The benefits management plan includes several important characteristics. These include defining target benefits, aligning them with business strategy, establishing a time frame for realization, identifying metrics for measurement, outlining assumptions, and recognizing potential risks. Now let's shift our focus to how these concepts fit into a broader structure of project management. The PMBOK guide organizes project management into 10 knowledge areas. Here's a quick overview. We will briefly touch on each of these, from integration, which is like the project's central nervous system, to stakeholder management, which is all about keeping everyone involved and happy. Integration management involves coordinating all the various processes and project management activities. Scope management ensures the project includes all the work required and only the work required to complete the project successfully. Schedule management establishes timelines for project activities and monitors their timely completion. Cost management involves planning, estimating, budgeting, financing, funding, managing, and controlling costs so that the project can be completed within the approved budget. Quality management focuses on ensuring the project and its deliverables meet the needs for which they were undertaken. Resource management organizes, manages, and leads the project team, as well as the physical resources needed for the project. Communications management ensures timely and appropriate planning, collection, creation, distribution, storage, retrieval, management, control, monitoring, and the ultimate disposition of project information. Risk management identifies, analyzes, and responds to project risk throughout the project lifecycle. Procurement management involves purchasing or acquiring products, services, or results needed from outside the project team. Stakeholder management focuses on identifying and analyzing stakeholders and planning and implementing appropriate responses to their needs, expectations, and influence. You might be wondering why we are going through all these areas. Is to give you a holistic view of project management. We want to show you how all the pieces fit together so you can see the bigger picture. This approach, called the whole method, helps you avoid getting lost in the details and understand how each part contributes to the project's success. As we move forward, we will delve deeper into each knowledge area, but this overview will provide a valuable framework for understanding how they will all work in harmony. In this section, we are going to explore a key concept in project management: enterprise environmental factors, or EEFs. You will hear this term a lot, so let's break it down. Enterprise environmental factors are conditions, internal or external, that can influence how you manage your project. Some factors have a direct impact, like mandatory procedures, while others have an indirect influence, such as organizational structure. It's important to note that project managers generally have no control over EEFs. We have to work within these constraints. These can include rules, policies, regulations, and laws that are outside of the project itself. There are two main types of EEFs: internal and external. Let's start with internal EEFs. Internal EEFs are created by the organization itself, but they are outside of the project. These are things like company specific software, required reporting procedures, and procurement processes. Here are some examples of internal EEFs: organizational culture, structure, leadership, ethics, and even the physical location of resources all fall under this category. For instance, if a critical piece of equipment is located in another state, that logistical challenge is an internal EEF. And here are some more: IT infrastructure, software, configuration management, work authorization systems, resource availability, and employee capabilities are also internal EEFs. If your company mandates the use of a specific project scheduling software, that's an internal EEF. Now let's look at external EEFs. These are factors outside of the organization. These are things that the company has very little control over. Here are some examples of external EEFs: laws, market conditions, cultural influences, customer perceptions, and news reports can all significantly impact a project. For example, changes in import export regulations can drastically affect a global project. And here are a few more: commercial databases, academic research, industry standards, financial factors like interest rates, and even the weather are all external EEFs. If your project is heavily reliant on weather, that's a physical external EEF. So that's an overview of enterprise environmental factors. As you can see, EEFs can significantly influence your project, and we will encounter them frequently as we delve deeper into project management processes. Building on our understanding of EEFs, let's now discuss organizational process assets or OPAs. Organizational process assets are internal resources that can be used to benefit the project. These are the things the organization already has. OPAs include a variety of resources. This includes historical information from past projects, templates for documents, organizational standards, policies and procedures, guidelines, and performance measurement criteria. Historical information is one of the most valuable OPAs. We can use it like a template, adapting successful approaches from previous projects to our current one. For example, if a previous project successfully managed a similar risk, we can use their risk response plan as a starting point. You might be wondering about the overlap between policies, standards, and procedures, and how they can be both EEFs and OPAs. While EEFs are things you must follow, OPAs are resources that help you. So, a policy can be an EEF, which is a constraint, and an OPA, a helpful resource. Here are some more examples of common OPAs: templates for project documents, guidelines for adapting processes, financial controls, procurement processes, and communication requirements are all examples of OPAs. And here are the remaining: processes for a specific project activities, project closing procedures, and evaluations are also considered OPAs. It's crucial to remember that OPAs aren't one size fits all. They need to be adapted to fit the specific needs of your organization and project. You can't just take a template and use it without modification. Effectively utilizing OPAs can significantly contribute to project success by saving time, improving efficiency, and ensuring consistency. Now, let's talk about how policies, processes, and procedures affect your project. These are specific to each organization and guide how work is done. Every organization has its own unique way of managing projects. This includes the project's structure, framework, and the use of predictive or adaptive life cycles. Whether or not you have to work with a PMO and how much authority you have as a project manager is defined in these internal processes. During the initiation and planning phases, several policies and procedures come into play. This includes the criteria for tailoring processes, organizational and industry standards like HR and safety policies, product and project life cycles, how processes are audited, and what the improvement targets are. And there are a few more things: templates for project documents, contract and reporting templates, and pre approved vendor lists are also important considerations during initiation and planning. Policies and procedures also play a significant role in the executing, monitoring, and controlling phases. Change control is a critical process, and the specific procedures for managing changes are unique to each organization. This includes how changes are submitted, who approves them, and what thresholds are in place. There are several other key procedures. This includes traceability matrices, financial control procedures, issue and defect management processes, how resources are allocated, and communication requirements. And here are the remaining ones: work authorization procedures, template updates, standardized guidelines, and how product validation is handled are also defined in this phase. As you manage a project, you will generate a lot of valuable data. This information should be archived and made accessible for future projects through knowledge repositories. Knowledge management is a crucial process for capturing, organizing, and retrieving this information. It's not enough to just store the data. You need to be able to find it and use it effectively. Effective knowledge repositories have certain characteristics. This includes proper cataloging, archiving, easy retrieval, and the inclusion of historical information. Here are some information examples of what might be included in a knowledge repository. This includes project files, lessons learned, issue and defect databases, configuration management databases, and financial data. Finally, let's discuss organizational systems. An organizational system is how your company is structured and how work gets done on a large scale. It provides structure, governance, and rules. It defines things like permissions, work authorization, and how employee discipline is handled. Here are some key components. This includes the overall structure and governance, how permissions and work authorization are handled, employee discipline procedures, and system dynamics. System dynamics refers to the relationships between different parts of the organization. This can range from smooth collaboration to bureaucratic red tape and political power struggles. Bureaucracy and politics are often part of organizational systems. Bureaucracy involves the necessary but sometimes cumbersome formal processes, while politics involves power dynamics that can influence how projects are managed. And finally, policies are rules that both the project team and you, as the project manager, must adhere to. Let's move on to organizational governance frameworks. We will define what they are and look at the key components. Governance refers to the rules and enforcement mechanisms that guide a project, program, or organization. A framework provides a structure for how the project is organized. For instance, a framework defines the hierarchy of a project manager, team leads, and team members. There are several key aspects to consider. Governance defines the boundaries of your authority, while the framework dictates how work gets done and the overall organizational hierarchy. Here are some additional elements of governance frameworks. This includes rules, policies, activity procedures, cultural norms, and organizational systems and processes. For example, the procedure for installing a fixture or the company culture around work hours. A framework significantly influences how objectives are set and achieved. This includes defining key performance indicators (KPIs) for time, cost, scope, quality, and risk. Governance frameworks also dictate how risk is managed. This covers risk identification, qualitative and quantitative analysis, monitoring, and response strategies. Higher priority projects typically have lower risk tolerance. Finally, government's frameworks should address how project performance is optimized. This might involve coaching, trend analysis, and sponsor provided goals. Let's discuss how management elements within governments affect project managers. These elements, unique to each organization, define a project manager's authority. Governance applies to portfolios, programs, and projects, ensuring a consistent approach to alignment, risk, performance, and communication. Key management elements include the division of work and authority. This involves determining who does what, who has the authority, what their responsibilities are, how discipline is handled, and clarity around who is in charge. Generally, organizational goals take precedence over individual goals. While fair compensation and optimal resource utilization are important, project deadlines and quality often dictate resource allocation. Here are some additional management elements. This includes clear communication, ensuring resources are available when needed, fair treatment, clear roles, and workplace safety. Two more important elements are open contribution and morale. Encourage team input during planning as they are closest to the work. Also strive for optimal morale by recognizing and appreciating team members' contributions. The organization of project management varies. This includes client vendor relationships, internal projects with dedicated teams, and as needed projects with temporary teams. Finally, consider whether project customers are internal or external, as this affects communication and stakeholder management. Now, let's delve into organizational structures. No two organizations are exactly alike, but there are common structures. Understanding these structures is crucial because they influence a project manager's authority. You might encounter exam questions that describe a structure, and knowing its characteristics which will help you determining the PM's power. Several factors influence how an organization is structured. These include alignment with objectives, grouping by capabilities like departments, ease of decision escalation, simplicity, and the project manager's delegation capabilities. Here are some additional factors. Other factors are accountability, adaptability, efficiency, cost considerations, physical location of resources, and clear communication channels. There are 10 common organizational structures. We will examine each in detail, focusing on how authority is distributed between the project manager and functional managers. These are organic or simple, functional, multi-divisional, weak matrix, balanced matrix, strong matrix, project oriented, virtual, hybrid, and PMO. In an organic or simple structure, work groups are flexible. This is common in startups where everyone pitches in. The project manager has limited authority, often acting as a coordinator or expeditor. Resources are assigned as needed, and there's little to no administrative support. A functional structure has clear divisions like sales, marketing, and IT. Project managers have limited authority, and projects stay within their respective functions. Team members report to functional managers and often work part time on projects. The functional manager controls the budget. Multi divisional structures are similar to functional ones, but each division has its own replicated functions. While this isn't always efficient, it's sometimes necessary for large organizations. Project managers have limited authority and resources are typically part time. Matrix structures involve team members from various departments. The project manager's authority varies, leading to three types: weak, balanced, and strong. In a weak matrix, the project manager has limited authority. Team members are part time, and the functional manager controls the budget. A balanced matrix involves shared authority between the project manager and functional managers. This can lead to power struggles. Both the PM and functional managers share the budget. Team members are part time. In a strong matrix, the project manager has more authority than the functional manager. The PM has moderate to high power, and there may be full time administrative staff. In a project oriented structure, teams work full time on a single project. The project manager has significant control and autonomy. Both the PM and the team are full time, and there's a dedicated administrative support. A virtual organization consists of departments represented by individual points of contact. Communication can be challenging due to the indirect flow of information. Project managers have limited authority, sharing it with functional managers. A hybrid organization is a blend of different structures. The project manager's power varies depending on the specific mix of structures. A project management office oversees all projects within an organization, ensuring a uniform approach in the project management office structure. PMOs help with resource sharing, coaching, change control, and issue resolution. Here is a quick overview of the pros and cons of each structure. Organic or simple structure are flexible but can overwhelm staff. Functional structure have clear divisions but PM has little authority. Multi-divisional structure has clear authority but can be inefficient. Project-oriented structure, PM has autonomy but teams may compete. In the strong matrix, PM has significant control but resource competition possible. In the balanced matrix, there is a shared authority between PM and functional manager, but potential is there for the conflict. In the weak matrix, PM has limited authority and team members have divided loyalties. In the virtual structure, resources are segmented, leading to communication challenges. In the PMO structure, there is a standardized approach, but one can feel stifling. This information provides a helpful summary, but don't worry too much about memorizing every single pro and con for the exam. We have talked a little bit already about project management offices and how they can help or support the project manager. But there are some more characteristics you need to know for your exam. The project management office is a uniform approach for project management in that organization. And remember, a PMO can exist in the whole organization, a department, a line of business. But a PMO is generally there to have some control over the projects within that domain, whether it's a whole company or organization or different departments or lines of business. The goal of a PMO is to support the project manager. The PMO provides organizational process assets, so templates, forms, software things that help the project manager do their job. There are some different types of PMOs, though you want to be familiar with. The first one is a directive PMO. A directive PMO is where the project manager is really part of the PMO. The PMO manages and controls all projects. So the PMO control is very high, where the PM is part of the PMO, and an organization wants to do a project, or a team wants to do a project, or a stakeholder wants to do a project. They give that project to the PMO, and the PMO controls it, that they have a uniform approach and they do everything as far as project management goes with all the projects in that organization. Then we have what's called a controlling PMO. A controlling PMO sets the rules for how projects are governed. So they kind of create the framework and give it to the project managers, where the PM isn't necessarily part of the PMO. They have required templates and forms and oversight. They define what the project management activities are. They set communication requirements, and so the PMO control is considered moderate. It's like they give the framework and structure to the project manager, and so there is some oversight, but they are definitely not as controlling as we saw in the directive. The next PMO is supportive. A supportive PMO is where the PMO acts as a coach or a consultant, and they can help the project manager, but they don't really control the project manager, so they are more of a consultative role. So they are giving advice and forms and software and best practices, but they are not really telling the PM how to do the work. So you have directive with the most control, and then we have controlling, but just a little bit less. It's a little bit more moderate control. And then very low on control, it's the supportive PMO. In this section, we will be exploring crucial topic, that is the role of the project manager. Now you might be thinking, I already know my role. It depends on where I work. And you are not wrong. Every organization tailors the project manager's responsibilities. But for certification exams like the PMP, it's important to understand how PMI defines the role, which might differ from your current job expectations. Let's unpack what being a project manager really means according to the guide. A project manager wears many hats, but the most basic summary, we manage the project and lead people. Think of it like organizing a wedding. You manage the timeline, budget, and vendors, but you also lead people like the bride, groom, and families toward a successful day. It's about delivering results through others while staying aligned with the systems, frameworks, and governance structures. Since leading people is such a big part of this role, let's talk about one skill that strengthens leadership, that is, active listening. Great project managers don't just hear, they listen. Active listening means paying full attention, understanding the real message, and repeating it back for clarity. Imagine a construction project where a local official says, noise should be under control. You could confirm, so are you saying that we can work during the day but must limit loud activity after 6 pm? This builds trust and avoids future conflicts. Communication is the foundation of listening. Let's dive deeper into how project managers communicate. Ask any experienced project manager what the most important skill is. They will say communication. And it's not just emails and meetings, it's how, what, and with whom you communicate. There's the internal communication, like updates with your team, and external communication, say with a government body during a road project in Mumbai. That needs to be more formal. Adapting your style based on the audience is key. To manage this well, you need to understand different communication methods. Communication isn't one size fits all. We have formal communication like reports and presentations. Then there's informal, like casual catch ups in the hallway or WhatsApp updates. Vertical communication is up and down the hierarchy, like from team member to project sponsor. Horizontal communication is across departments, say two project managers discussing shared resources. Knowing when and how to use each type matters. And since communication drives everything, PMI explores its depth in its chapter dedicated to the communication management. But let's get an early start with some key tools. To communicate effectively, consider sender receiver model. You send a message, but did the other person really get it? Media selection. Should this be a phone call, a detailed report, or a Zoom call? Style and tone. A presentation to the CEO will sound very different than a daily team huddle. Facilitation and meeting management. Running focused, on time meetings boost your credibility and saves everyone's time. But communication isn't our only superpower. Let's talk about another key role, negotiation. Project managers often play mediator. Let's say a client wants to add features to a software app without changing the timeline or budget. Classic scope creep example. You negotiate what's possible now, what needs extra budget, and what can wait. Whether it's negotiating with vendors, team members, or stakeholders, the goal is always to find a fair agreement without derailing the project. Negotiation often involves trade offs, and those decisions are clearer when we know our project constraints. Project managers constantly juggle scope, time, and cost, known as the iron triangle. You can't expand one side without affecting the others. If a railway project needs extra tracks, that likely means more money and time. As a PM, it's your job to keep these in balance and communicate changes early. And when something goes wrong, which it often does, you step into another critical role, problem solver. Project management isn't just about following a plan, it's about fixing things when the plan fails. You start with problem definition, what's really the issue? Then do a root cause analysis. Are delays because of one vendor or poor planning? Bring solutions to the table. If the problem is contractor delays, maybe split the work across two teams. Don't just react, solve. As you solve problems, you also influence a lot of people, and they influence you. Let's talk about influence. You influence your team through decisions, feedback, and motivation. But the team, clients, functional managers, even the PMO, they all influence you. It's like working in a group project during college. Your inputs matter, but so do theirs. Understanding this dynamic helps you manage expectations and build better working relationships. So how do you influence people effectively? Let's look at the tools. Start with a clear communication. Again, it's a key. Add in a positive attitude. People follow leaders who uplift, not those who complain. Be aware of your organization's culture and politics. Some decisions aren't logical, they are strategic. Recognize conflicting interests and power struggles, especially in metric organizations where authority is shared. Being politically smart helps you move your project forward. Influence isn't limited to people. You are also affected by external environments. External factors like government policies, economic conditions, and social perceptions shape your project. For example, if you are managing a road project in Kerala during monsoon season, weather becomes a major influence. Or if you are building a mall, environmental concerns like deforestation might trigger protest. Understand local, national, and global factors. They impact success. These external forces tie directly into another layer, culture and industry trends. Every industry has its way of doing things. In IT, flexibility is valued. In healthcare, precision is everything. As a PM, you must adapt to these norms. Stay connected with project management communities, pursue ongoing education, and understand your application area. This helps you align better with stakeholder expectations and lead projects more effectively. As a project manager, staying relevant also means understanding the tools that support your work. Every industry and organization will have its own set of technical support tools. These tools help streamline your workflow, track progress, and communicate more effectively with your team. Example, in the construction industry, tools like Microsoft Project or Primavera are often used for detailed project scheduling and tracking. In contrast, a software development team might rely on tools like Jira or Asana to manage tasks and sprints. Being a good PM means understanding the economic landscape that your project operates in. How are global and local economic trends affecting your project? For instance, a sudden rise in raw material prices or regulatory changes can significantly impact your project's budget or timelines. Example, consider a project in India's renewable energy sector. Changes in government policies or international trade agreements can directly affect the financial viability of solar panel projects. As projects evolve, it's essential to stay on top of process improvements and sustainability trends. Process improvements involves continuously refining project processes to increase efficiency, reduce waste, and lower cost. Think about Lean and Six Sigma principles applied to construction or IT projects. In case of sustainability, in today's world, considering the environmental impact of projects is not just good practice, it's a necessity. Whether it's designing eco friendly buildings or reducing energy consumption in IT infrastructure, sustainability must be integrated into your project management approach. One of the most valuable skills a project manager brings to the table is the ability to connect the dots between strategy and execution. As a PM, you need to understand why certain projects are chosen over others, how they align with the organization's broader goals, and how to steer them towards successful outcomes. Understanding the big picture, which is why is your project important? How does it contribute to business objectives like growth, profitability, or customer satisfaction? Example, imagine managing a project for a global logistics company in India. Understanding the strategic business goals of improving delivery times and reducing operational costs will help you make decisions that align with the company's visions. Being a PM also means being comfortable with making tough decisions. You will often need to make quick choices to keep the project moving forward. Remember, inaction is the worst decision. Decisions should be driven by information. You may not always have perfect data, but making an informed decision is better than delaying. Example, a project manager overseeing the launch of a new mobile app in India might have to choose between releasing a beta version early to capture the market interest or delaying for further testing. Each decision will affect the project's timeline, cost, and customer satisfaction. Negotiation is a crucial skill for a project manager. whether it's securing resources, resolving conflicts, or managing stakeholder expectations. Strong negotiation skills are essential. Business knowledge beyond project management, you also need to understand business processes like finance, marketing, and operations. This knowledge helps you negotiate effectively and make decisions that consider both project and organization goals. For example, while negotiating with a vendor in India for materials, understanding their supply chain constraints, production times, and pricing structures will help you reach a mutually beneficial deal while staying on budget. As a project manager, your ultimate goal is to maximize the business value delivered by the project. This requires identifying opportunities and managing risk effectively. How does your project create value for the organization? For example, does it lead to cost savings, efficiency improvements, or increased revenue? For example, in the retail sector, a project to implement an AI based inventory management system can help the company cut down on stockouts and reduce excess inventory, directly improving profitability. Let's dive into the core business skills that complement your project management expertise. These skills are essential for driving projects that support organizational objectives. First one is the strategy alignment. Understanding your company's goals and aligning your project with those objectives. Then comes the team collaboration, which is building relationships with key stakeholders, whether they are sponsors, team members, or suppliers, is vital to project success. Lastly, the value maximization. Constantly look for ways to increase business value and reduce waste. Every decision you make should contribute to maximizing the return on investment. Here's the intersection. Project management and business skills often overlap in the real world. We need to balance the competing priorities. A project manager must balance scope, budget, schedule, and quality while aligning with business strategy, risk, and financial implications. Every project involves financial considerations and risk management. Business acumen will help you make decisions that benefit both the project and the organization's bottom line. For example, a PM working in e-commerce sector might have to balance a project to enhance the customer experience with the business goal of increasing online sales during a peak season like Diwali. In the previous slide, we explored how technical and business know-how are crucial. But here's the thing, knowing what to do isn't enough. To truly lead a project to success, we need more than just skills. We need leadership. Leadership means guiding people toward a common goal, even through uncertainty. It's about influence, not just authority. And that brings us to the next big focus, leadership skills that every project manager must master. So, what does leadership really look like in project management? It starts with vision, the ability to see the big picture and help others to see it too. But that's just the beginning. Great leaders are optimistic and energize the team. They build relationships, manage conflicts, and keep communication open and two way. You are listening to feedback, giving credit when due, and driving the team toward action and results. In short, leadership is about moving the team forward, not by force, but by influence and motivation. Let's break it down further. A strong project leader does more than just lead, they guide, motivate, and build trust. There are eight traits you will often see in the most effective leaders, which are guiding towards results, inspiring motivation, negotiating fairly, resilience under stress, clear and consistent communication, fast problem solving, critical thinking, and strong interpersonal skills. Think of a cricket team captain. They are not just playing, they are reading the game, rallying the team, and adjusting tactics as needed. Leadership is all about working with people, and people come with emotions. That's why emotional intelligence or EQ is a project manager's superpower. EQ means understanding not just what people are saying, but why they are saying it, what's behind the emotion. It also means staying calm under pressure and managing your own reactions. For example, when a stakeholder gets angry in a review meeting, do you react defensively or do you listen, empathize, and find a solution? That's emotional intelligence in action. Being a visionary isn't about dreaming big, it's about communicating the destination clearly. As a PM, you should be able to define what success look like, the goals, deliverables, and performance indicators. When someone stops you in a halfway and asks, "How's the project going?" you should confidently say, "We are 80% done, on track with costs, but working on a slight schedule delay." Make your goals clear not just to your stakeholders but to your team. Help them see how their work connects to the bigger purpose. Successful projects are built on strong relationships. This means managing concerns, finding consensus, and balancing different needs like time, cost, and scope. Imagine managing a wedding event. The bride wants grandeur, the groom wants simplicity, and the budget is tight. You have to negotiate, find trade offs, and align everyone. That's your real job as a project leader, making different people work together. Now, conflict is natural, and as a PM, you are not expected to avoid it. You are expected to resolve it. You create a safe space for open dialogue and help the team find common ground. But relationships don't end with the project. Building long term rapport means smoother future collaborations. Of it like playing in a band. The more gigs you play with the same group, the better you sing. We have all heard it 90% of a project manager's job is communication. But effective communication is about managing expectations. You set the tone in the kickoff meeting and keep updating throughout. Also, giving and receiving feedback constructively helps everyone improve. Be open, ask, listen, and respond, not react. Projects can get chaotic. That's why prioritizing what matters most is critical. Ask yourself, is this task aligned with strategic goals? Be flexible with methods. If a new approach works better and the team is confident, support it. And remember, fail fast, learn faster. Don't wait till the end to know if something doesn't work. Experiment small, learn, and adjust. As a PM, you are flooded with information, updates, metrics, changes, feedback. Organizing and filtering this flood is a skill in itself. Create systems where information flows efficiently, is accessible, and helps your team make decisions. Think of it like running a newsroom. You need the right info at the right time to keep things running. Every project and team is different, so one leadership style won't fit all. Let's look at six styles every PM should recognize. Transactional. It is reward and punishment based. It works well in structured environments. Then comes servant leader. You serve the team, remove blockers. It is common in agile. Then comes laissez faire, hands off, gives the team full freedom, risky but empowering. Then comes transformational, it inspires and motivates, focuses on growth and vision. Then comes charismatic. Here, the leader leads by example, energizes the team by being part of the action. And the last one's interactional. It's a flexible blend, coaches, supports, but also drive results. Your leadership style might shift depending on the team, culture, or project phase, and that's okay. Leadership is also about how you influence others. That's where different types of power comes in. Let's explore a few. First one is positional power. You have authority because of your role. Then it is informational power. Here you control key project information. Referent power. People respect you based on past experiences. Then there is a situational power. Here the power that comes from timing or circumstances. Reward power. You have the power to offer incentives. Pressure power. In this one, you set the tight constraints. Guilt or persuasion power. You influence emotionally or logically. The last one is the avoidance power. Well, this one is not ideal. It's when leaders disappear when they are most needed. Let's build on what we have been discussing about leadership and management. These two roles may seem similar, but they are actually quite different in focus and function. Leadership is all about inspiring people, creating a shared vision, and encouraging collaboration. Think of a cricket team captain. He is motivating players, making strategic calls, and ensuring everyone is mentally ready to win. Management, on the other hand, is about structure and efficiency, like a factory supervisor who ensures machines run on time, deadlines are met, and resources are used wisely. Leadership uses emotional intelligence to build trust and commitment, while management relies on planning and control to ensure tasks are completed. Now, let's look at what makes someone a great leader. These are qualities you won't always see on a resume, but they make all the difference. First is authenticity. They are genuine, not just saying what people want to hear. Second one is empathy. In this one, the leader care about team members' feelings, like a school principal who listens to both teachers and students. Third one is a culture awareness. In this one, leader respect differences, which is key in today's global teams. Fourth one is creativity and critical thinking. Here, the leader find new solutions even under pressure. And the last one is the emotional maturity. So leaders don't let emotions cloud judgment and can stay calm in stressful moments. These traits help leaders connect with people and drive a shared sense of purpose. In the world of project management, leadership traits often blend with management skills. Here's what often see. Good leaders understand processes and how to get work done efficiently. They know how to navigate office politics without getting stuck in it. They support their team just like good coach ensures players have everything they need to perform. They are friendly and approachable, and they keep communication open, and they understand how different parts of the project and organization are connected. These overlapping qualities help project leaders stay effective while adapting to various challenges. Here's a quick side by side view of management and leadership to make things clear. As project managers, we need to wear both hats, being organized like a manager and inspiring like a leader. Now let's move into the core concept of project integration. Think of this as the glue that holds the entire project together. Just like gears in a machine, every part of a project, whether it's planning, execution, or monitoring, needs to align with the big picture. Project integration ensures all parts work in harmony to meet the organization's goals. Strategic integration is about aligning your project with the company's broader vision. Imagine a company wants to become eco friendly. If your project focuses on reducing waste or improving energy use, that's perfect alignment. But if it doesn't support the company's direction, it may be re-evaluated or scrapped. As project managers, we need to work closely with sponsors and stakeholders to make sure our project deliver value and contribute to long-term business goals. Next up is process level integration. This is about how one action in your project affects others. For example, if you update the risk management plan, it might impact your budget, schedule, or quality requirements. It's like adjusting one ingredient in a recipe, it changes the whole dish. Every process is linked. That's why it's important to think holistically and understand how each decision ripples across the project. Cognitive integration is all about you, your thinking, your instincts, and your experience. As you grow as a project manager, you will start to notice patterns. You will be able to anticipate delays, spot hidden risks, and make better decisions, just like a seasoned chess player who sees 5 moves ahead. This insight comes from hands on experience and learning from past mistakes and wins. Lastly, we have context level integration. This is about adapting your project to the times. Think about how project management has changed with technology. A few years ago, no one used WhatsApp or Slack to manage tasks. Now they are essential tools. As environments change, new tools, trends, social behaviors, we need to evolve our approach. Whether it's the remote teams, AI tools, or fast changing customer needs, successful project managers stay flexible and open to innovation. To wrap up, project success doesn't come from just being a good leader or a strong manager. It comes from integrating both and making sure your project fits into the larger system. You must be able to lead people, manage resources, align with strategy, and adapt to change, all while delivering real business value. Think of yourself as a conductor of an orchestra, bringing together every instrument, every player, and every note into one harmonious performance. Thank you so much for watching this video and joining me on this journey to mastering project management. If you found the content valuable, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your colleagues who are also passionate about project management. This is just the beginning. I will be bringing you more detailed videos soon, covering topics like the 10 project management knowledge areas, agile concepts, and many more exciting and practical topics that will help you grow in your career. And if you have any questions or if there's a specific topic you would like me to cover first, feel free to leave a comment below. I would love to hear from you and create content that's most useful for you. Thank you.